Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers Podcast. I'm your host, Velocity Pete, and today we've got another special guest on with us today. We're talking with Chet Silverman from the eTail King, host of the eTail trade show. Chet, thanks so much for jumping on today to talk to us about a couple different things.
Great to be here. I mean, Mr. eTail has been around, so I would love to impart my knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I'm having you on today for. So it's perfect. The first thing I want to cover is, I noticed this earlier and I pointed it out earlier, but I've got my Phillies helmets back here. And at the time of this recording, the Phillies stole a very lucky win from the Mets. Chet and I met for 30 minutes to talk about him coming on the show. And I think 5 of those minutes were about the show and the other 25 were about sports. So I had to sneak that in there. I did it last time for when I was talking to I want to say I was talking to a Braves fan, and I had to say, hey, just by the way, the Braves. So I won't get too much into that. We had that discussion offline. But Chet, just again, thanks for coming on today. The first thing I want to go over is what's happening with trade shows. Why are the traditional trade shows, the ones that happened for the past couple of decades, why are they not working anymore?
Well, a few things I would say since COVID. I think what happened is during COVID, of course, were definitely the dark times for trade shows. I mean, we sat around for 2 years, basically not going to trade shows, not making any sales for trade shows. We sold virtual shows. Everybody went on their computers for. And since we've come back, I think everybody realized that trade shows are so much more important now. And there's a few reasons why. The old way of selling, the cold calling the headquarters of, let's say, J. Crew, let me speak to the director of eCommerce, and they would, say you through the switchboard, and that person might pick up the phone and you would leave a message. Well, that executive now works from home. So no longer are you really calling these people. You don't even know their phone numbers anymore. You don't have their cell numbers. They work from home. All those buildings are empty. And the only way now to talk to those relevant people within your own industry is by going to a trade show or a conference that we put on. And it's become more and more important. And it's on both sides. It's not just the sponsor where it's so important to go. The buyer, the retailer for eTail, they have to go as well. It's the only way they can go buy new solutions. They have to go to a show. And I think another main difference is that, especially for eTail, the old trade shows were, it's like going to a hospital, right? I mean, everything was antiseptic and cold, and there was no warm feeling. eTail has, over the years, become like a family gathering. It's almost like a reunion, right? You go to your family reunion. I'm going to eTail this summer. I'm going to eTail Palm Springs. I'm going to go see my cousins, my brother, my sister. I'm going to the eTail family. So many scenes are played out at eTail now where sponsors see each other hugging. Retailers are seeing the sponsors. They're hugging each other. They know you, and they like to hang out with you. And think about it. It's almost like a party. You're eating, you're drinking, but you're learning. You're going to sessions, and then you're selling to them. And what other better place to buy from your friends, your family? You have that great feeling. You have a really good feeling with people, they will buy from you. And that's what eTail has become. It absolutely, in one word, I describe eTail as family, or community, as everybody likes to call things now, building a community. And we have absolutely built a community. And other shows out there are doing the same thing, without a doubt. You have to feel like you're going to a place where they know me, I know them, I'm going to know a lot of the people that are there, and I'm going to learn as well. If you're not learning at these conferences, there's no reason to go. And we have some of the best speakers in the industry. We have incredible research teams that are just researching constantly on all the new technologies out there, all the new fads, just to me, that is eTail without a doubt. And that's why trade shows or conferences have become so much more important within the industry. And you would never would have thought it when I was sitting in my house during COVID thinking, is this ever going to end? Are we going to be out of business? What is going to happen with conferences? And I didn't know what was going to happen until when I started selling the first show out of the conference, out of the COVID. One of my sponsors is the one who told me all of this information because they were having so much trouble getting people on the phone. They all disappeared because they were all working from home. It changed everything.
Yeah, they're not in the office. Yeah.
They're not in the office. But they have to keep buying. They have to keep moving their business forward. And the only way they do that now is by going to conferences. Thank God.
I just saw something on X that I think a building in Fort Worth, Texas, sold in like 2018.
I saw the same thing.
For like $130 million, and it just foreclosed for like $12 million. I was like,
These
oh my God.
buildings are empty.
Oh my God, no one's in there. They're all
crazy.
home.
It really is crazy. And it's funny. I spoke to TikTok yesterday about coming to eTail. I said, where you're located? I'm in New York. They have to go in 5 days a week to the office.
Oh,
I was shocked.
I am very blessed, and I'm not just saying this because I work for the company. I'm very blessed that Velocity is a fully remote place because I have done, and I know I'm young, and I'm revealing my age here. I actually have never had a fully a full corporate job in an office. I've done internships in an office.
That to me is wild. Meeting, and I don't, it's good and bad. I mean, listen, I grew up in offices, create office culture, meeting friends. It's fantastic. And I do feel bad for the kids coming up today. They don't know anything about that.
No. Do I miss the idea of like the water cooler talk and maybe going out for drinks afterwards? Absolutely. Working from home definitely has its benefits too. And some downsides as well. It's not everything's not peachy keen on one side, but I only had a couple professional, what's the term, like full-time jobs.
Yes.
And they've both been remote. So I don't know it.
It's interesting. There are some industries where you don't need an office. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But then you see in finance, they made you come back. If you did not come back, you were fired. And there was no ands, ifs, or buts. People went and bought houses in other cities. They didn't come back. They had no job. So many industries where you do not need an office. I'm not going to say the commerce business is right. I don't want to get in trouble. I thank God moved away 7 years ago to Charleston, South Carolina. I was ahead of my time. Maybe I knew this was happening. But there are businesses where you do not need an office. Absolutely not.
And I've got plenty of buddies, like you said, in finance, accounting, they'll never work from home, and I feel bad for them, but they also have good work culture, so they enjoy going into the office. So where I feel bad for them, they feel bad for me, saying like, oh, you don't get to meet any of your coworkers really. Yeah. And we do, like when I go to trade shows, I'll go with some of my buddies here. That's really nice, but I'll never get to meet everybody, which is actually a shame. But maybe one day, maybe I'll
conferences or trade shows even more important. You know how many times I see they're setting up booths, right? Sponsors are setting up, and all of a sudden, people are meeting each other for the first time within the same company. Oh my God, it's so great to meet you. They're meeting them at the conference for the first time, and they work in the same company. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more, I think, than just meeting clients, because we went to a trade show back in, I want to say November. And that was I think I started here in August, and then in November, so a couple months later, I got to meet a lot of the top people at my company, which is awesome. Just knowledge-wise and also on a personal level, getting to meet these people that I'm seeing over Zoom most of the time. So that was very, very cool. A really good team bonding at the high level. And it's just a great way to, like you said, just to meet people. And did we close a few clients from there? Sure. But, and I think the biggest takeaway, not to be cheesy, was getting to meet them and saying, hey, getting to put a personality to the Zoom picture. So very, very cool stuff.
I agree. And it's really, I never would have thought during COVID, some dark times, man, especially in a business where it's all about meeting, greeting people and marketing, come out of COVID and realize that conferences are really the most important thing now in certain industries, to learn about new technology, new ways of doing business, and then meeting buyers and sellers. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was again, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but I was actually in Zoom University when COVID hit. So I was a college kid when March 2020 happened. And
I remember
I mean, we could go
I
in.
remember like it was yesterday. eTail 2020 was one of the last shows to take place almost in America.
Like March.
And then March 2020. It was the last week of February into like March 2nd or 3rd, And there were just some rumblings about this disease. And I think there were 1 or 2 cases up in Washington, Seattle or something. And we had 2,500 people at the show.
Yeah.
And it was literally the best eTail we've ever had, ever in the 20th year, whatever it was. And it was 2 weeks later. It was just incredible.
COVID. Oh man. I remember seeing something in like early February on Twitter, now formerly known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter still. I remember seeing something on Twitter that was like, rare outbreak disease in China has government on alert. And I was like, it's like, what? Who cares? And then a month later, everything shut down. So craziness.
It was a crazy time. While I was selling eTail 2020, maybe it's a couple weeks before the show, you get a little nervous, but no one was really thinking about it. I got a call from one of my sponsors, didn't realize they were from China. He called me up and he asked me if he thinks I should come to the show. I said, why would he want to come to the show? He thought because he was Chinese that people wouldn't come up to his booth.
Wow, he would lose business.
Shook me like, wow. Like I was kind of my first foray into thinking about this whole COVID pandemic thing. I was floored by him calling me by this. He came to the show. I said, I will be more than happy to shake your hand. Of course you should come to the show.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning. The beginning of all the craziness.
Yeah. Ugh, it's insane. And we could have a whole episode on the craziness of COVID.
Oh my God.
But I came in pretty hot with a question there about just why trade shows are dying. But I do want to give you a chance, Chet, to explain how you came up with the idea of eTail, and just give us a little bit more of I know you gave us a nice overview there, but if you wanted to give a little bit more in-depth overview of what eTail is, some of the big names that are there, and really just kind of a little mini promotion of it, if you will.
So I'm not taking credit for creating eTail. I wish I was. eTail was developed in 1999 by our former managing director, Steve Goldring, who literally started the company out of his apartment in London. And he, when you are an owner of a conference company and you have to constantly keep thinking of new ideas and what's out there. And he knew that the internet was definitely going to be big and buying online was going to be big. So while I was buying CDs and books online, doing another job, I had no clue that I would be a year later selling a show that would become the biggest thing ever. But he created eTail. And I remember seeing, we had the first brochure. Back in those days, you actually printed paper brochures. And he had a picture of a shopping cart on the front of the brochure. And, it was early days. And he got lucky. He got 1 year in, and then the internet burst. You might be too young, but people will remember in 2000, 2001, the internet literally exploded. And the bubble burst. And all the companies went out of business. And guess who they hired? Me. So I came into eTail literally at the bottom. I thought I'd be making all this money. Can't wait to get involved. They had the show in New York City because, in the conference business, you have to sign a hotel contract a few years in a row. And at the Grand Hyatt, which I believe is attached, if that's the same one, attached to Grand Central.
Yeah.
And I was given the show and everybody disappeared. There was no more sponsors. My job was to get sponsorship, and I called every single company that had sponsored the year before. Half were out of business. The other half had no more money. And I had to rebuild the show from scratch. And I remember my boss, and in those days, you have to have that hotel, and then you have to predict the year before was amazing. You assume next year's going to be amazing too. So we had all these parties planned, cocktail parties. The money they were spending was insane. And you can't just go to the hotel and say, listen, we need to kind of like take it down a notch because we're not going to get the money. They don't care.
Yeah.
You have to do what you signed up for. And I remember my boss saying, just sell what you can. And I sold everything I can sell at the cheapest prices, imaginable. Booths for $5,000, now they're 20. But things were crazy. And I remember I got lucky to sell the cocktail party, and the cocktail party was going to be so big because it was so big the year before. They had at the show, Mark Messier from the Rangers was at eTail the year before because it was such a hot show. They hired him to come and walk around and talk to people. He was on the Rangers at the time.
The New York Rangers?
At the New York
hockey
Rangers.
Team? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a big hockey guy, but I know.
Yeah. Oh, people will know him. And I remember I got lucky enough to sell the cocktail party for the show, and everybody was so happy. And it was going to be this gigantic tower of, a seafood tower you get at your table. Imagine one for 2,000 people, and maybe 500 were going to show up for it. So we ate pretty good at the show, I will tell you. So my first eTail was very different. Half empty exhibit room, half empty session rooms because we were rebuilding it. And it's been amazing. And I would say since 2000, since the crash, 2000, 2001, that's when I first got in there. eTail grew every single year. So there were a few bumps, of course, along the way. Major incidences, of course, 9/11 was one. And then after that, it kept growing back up. And then after that, we had the real estate crash. I think that was 2008. But after every big kind of explosion, it just keeps growing because people keep buying online. And that's never going to stop. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger. But eTail, the thing about eTail is everyone's like, what's it about? I'm like, I like to describe it in the easiest terms possible. Like Denzel Washington said in the movie Philadelphia, explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And I basically say, if you could show retailers how to sell more, and I don't use the word crap, how to sell more things online, they will talk to you. That's what eTail is about. Being able to show retailers how they can sell more goods and services online. And we bring the retailers together with all the technology providers that can literally help them do that. And it encompasses 20 different types of solutions. And every year a new solution comes. This year, we're going to be huge in AI. We're going to have a full workshop day on AI. We're going to have tracks on AI because that's becoming huge. And we still have the staples from the beginning of eTail. Search and email were the beginning. Fulfillment, supply chain, mobile shopping at one time was the biggest thing. I remember CRM came around. And there's just so many different types of solutions, user experience, customer experience. Now the cookie lists, everything. And I love, back in the day, you were a novice. I remember buying my first iPhone. I was going to eTail with a flip phone. Well, everybody else had an iPhone, and my partner Michelle said, "You're Mr. eTail. How are you still using a flip phone?" I remember getting my first iPhone, and you would go to a website. Maybe I would go to ESPN, see if the Phillies were losing, of course, hopefully. And then I would go to another website to see about a barbecue, to see what's going on with barbecues. And then I go back to ESPN. Next thing I know, I'm getting an ad for a barbecue.
Yep.
And I go, how did the barbecue.com know that I was on ESPN.com? And to me, I'm like, oh my God, that's eTail. And you know how your friends are like, this is so bad. I can't believe they're following me on the web. And I'm like, that's the greatest thing ever. And now when you drive by, you're in the car and you're driving by certain stores or locations and you're getting ads for
Yeah.
advertisements in the location that you're at. I love that. I think that's amazing, you know. And I always bring up the Tom Cruise movie. What was it?
Mission
Where
Impossible.
where he
Um,
did the pre-crime, where they can predict the crime before it happens.
oh,
I was all about AI, but I forgot Minority Report.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And in that movie, they're predicting when a crime is going to happen, which of course is impossible. But they would take all the data and everything would be put into the computer, and it would come out. This guy's going to commit a crime. They arrest him before it happens. But there's a scene where he's running through a mall, and he runs into the Gap. I think it was the Gap. And all of a sudden, a 3D dimensional person comes up, and they said, I forgot his name, it was like, Mr. Jones, how did you like that sweater you bought 2 months ago? And I'm like, that's eTail. That's the greatest thing ever.
That could be
You
coming
know,
up pretty soon. That could be a
uh,
reality pretty soon.
and it's all about predicting when you and I are going to make a purchase. That's what an advertiser, that's what a retailer wants to know, right? When you and I are about to make a purchase, so they can get that advertisement in front of you and I, and the percentages of us buying that product at that moment is what they're all shooting for. And I think eventually they're going to get pretty close. And I think the AI involved now with all the data points, it's going to happen, but that's the future. And when you see some of these science fiction movies, a lot of that stuff comes true. You just got to look at the Jetsons. You're too young, but you might know the Jetsons cartoon.
I remember the
When
Jetsons.
he would talk on his phone, or he would talk on a TV to his boss.
Here we
That
are.
happened.
Here we are.
It's happening.
Smart.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
So,
Smartwatches. I remember seeing
yeah.
those when I was a kid, like as on TV, and now I'm
Yep.
wearing one. So I mean, I love this thing. I don't know what I would do without it.
But that's
But
eTail.
yeah,
eTail is the place where you want to know the future. What does the future hold for online retail? And that's what you're going to learn at eTail. As a retailer and as a potential sponsor, that's where you can sell your idea, your solution that you know is going to help that retailer make that sale. That's what it's all about. You know, we've got sponsors that have been with us 20 years, you know, and we have new sponsors coming every single show. And that's also the beauty of the e-commerce kind of industry, is that the money keeps flowing into that technology. Knock on wood. I just knocked on wood. Thank God, you know, because that's what it's about, right?
yeah,
The money flowing into brand new technology and new ideas and getting those new companies at eTail. You know, and of course we've had to adapt over the years, where I would go to my boss and say, I've got a lot of new technology I'm talking to. They don't have the money yet. Let's create opportunities for them. And we created a startup pavilion. You know, that of course other conferences, you know, in the conference business, you steal from everybody. So I think eTail has been on the forefront of so many ideas and so many types of parties. We had the first startup pavilion. Trust me, I know for a fact. Now, everybody else has a startup alley or this or that. You know, when you want to bring in new technology and you want to work with them, because guess what? If they're successful, they grow with you.
yeah.
And they never forget that, which is fantastic.
The last 2 shows I just went to had a whole section of new innovative
Yeah.
technology.
You can thank me
all
for that.
stuff.
I created that. I'm putting my stamp. I created that.
It's great. I mean, like you said, you want to learn about the future as quick as possible.
Yes.
Kind of relating a little bit back to Amazon and their AI, Rufus. You know, I want to learn immediately, how can I put my partner's products at the top of Rufus's results. I was trying to think of what to say there. Of his results.
Tell me about Rufus. So it's an Amazon product.
So Rufus is their new AI system. I'll tell you about why it's named Rufus in a second. But it's basically just, instead of a customer typing in umbrella for rain, or some other just keyword-filled search, what Rufus is going to do is you're going to be able to type in what umbrella holds up best in heavy, snowy rain, or what umbrella is perfect for when you're out golfing and it starts to hail, or what umbrella is best for the sunshine. And Rufus is going to scrape your listings and find out based on your bullet points, your images, your A+ content, all that stuff. It's going to pull all that data and say, based on, comparing everything and based on my learning as Rufus and my knowledge, this umbrella is going to be best suited for what you're looking for. So it's going to be a whole new way to reach people. There's a lot of speculation going on around it. Where is it going to completely replace keywords? Is it going to work in tandem with keywords? Is it just going to, could be its whole separate thing?
And it can't be corrupted. Like a lot of of the early adoption, there was so much corruption.
Yeah.
With Google, remember with the Google ads?
Yep.
And there was a lot of corruption.
Selling data.
Was lying.
Yeah.
The product that was up top wasn't always the best product.
No. Who was the highest bidder?
Exactly.
Who paid the most?
They figured that out. Yes. And it reminds me of, I'm dating myself, man. The old thing called payola. It was a little bit before my time. Remember, you know what a disc jockey is? You listen to the actual radio. Know.
Yes,
so,
I
remember those. Back in the 50s, you would bring your record to the DJ at the radio station, and you were like the manager of the artist, and you would slip some bucks under the table. Play my guy's record. Keep playing. Every time you play it, I'll give you money.
I think that's how the Beatles got famous, isn't it? I'm kidding.
I don't think so. I think they were pretty good, but there were a lot of people that they actually arrested a famous DJ. I think it was Alan Freed in Cleveland. They arrested him for taking this, they called it payola, where you're getting paid to play a certain record. And that's illegal. It's
skipping the queue.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I remember the early days of Google. You're right. It was the highest bidder, and they figured out how to do that, where the product that was the first product shown was not the best product.
It's whoever pays the most, and that's kind of how it is still for Amazon. Amazon is pay per click and up to the highest penny plus one kind of thing, and that's I don't think that's going to go away. That's one of Amazon's biggest revenue streams is their advertising. So I don't think I think they're going to really integrate it well with Rufus, but I think they'll say based on PPC data and advertising and sales data and all this stuff, and with Rufus now here's the best product. It'd be interesting to see.
Are they looking at reviews as well? How about product reviews? That's important too. Yes.
Yeah, they're scanning people reviews. They're scanning Q&As. Anything as many reviews as you can get, obviously, is the best. And so if you have people in there saying, "Hey, I used this umbrella and it really saved me from a hailstorm," Rufus is going to find that and say, "Here you go. Here's a prime example of someone doing good with this."
One thing that online has done has educated the consumer, and a real online consumer, he or she is much more educated these days in terms of finding products, finding the reviews, really knowing before they push that button if they're getting a good product. And that's important.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things, especially for an Amazon seller, especially for a retail seller or a big box seller on Amazon. One of the biggest things I tell people when they come in is, how is your brand, how is your product being represented on Amazon? You've got people, and I hate to call them out because I called them out on another podcast, but you've got people like Bath & Body Works that aren't officially on Amazon, but their products are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so people like their third parties are buying their products in bulk and then just putting them on Amazon. Their listings are horrible is a strong word, but they're not good. They've got very little information about them. The pictures are very bland, very boring. I love all of my, I'm not afraid to admit it, I love my Bath & Body Works soaps. I love the candles. I use them a lot. My girlfriend and I light a candle probably every night while we read. It is phenomenal. I love their products. And being a customer and knowing what their product is and how it should be shown on Amazon, it's not represented well. So I imagine, and again, I think a lot of your eTail customers are probably, if not in the same boat, somewhat close to that, where maybe they're not on Amazon, but their third parties are, and they're not doing a good job of representing the brand. I mean, Amazon, I just saw something on LinkedIn, and maybe it was also on X too, but Amazon is the most used search engine for product research. It's not even Google anymore. It's Amazon. They go to a outlet or to give me like the Franklin Mills Mall, which now I think it's the Philadelphia Mills Mall, but they give you you go to the mall and you see a outlet for J. Crew or Canada Goose or somebody. You're gonna say, okay, I could buy this here right now, but is it cheaper on Amazon? You go on Amazon, you see some reviews. Maybe you're not familiar with the brand that much. You see the reviews that say, oh, this product stinks, or it came to me in bad packaging, or the branding on it was weird. I got a weird feeling from it. And that's because, Canada Goose and J. Crew and these other people aren't managing the brand on Amazon themselves. And so we stress that very much, like, hey, if you are a retailer, if you have multiple stores across the country, you need to be on Amazon. Maybe it's not something you want to pursue. Gucci and like Versace brands won't want to be on Amazon
you
because
show them that they're going to be on anyway. They're not going to look good, but if they go through you guys, then you can guarantee they're going to look good.
That's what we say, and not necessarily. I don't want to sound like a salesman here with the pitch, but not necessarily through us, but just get on Amazon. Take over your brand. Make sure that you are represented on this platform where hundreds and millions of people are looking at your products. And if they see, and reviews are everything. So if they see one or two bad reviews, they're going to say, well, why am I buying this anyway? I'm not going to buy it in store or on Amazon because these people online who I don't know but trust with all my, my might and my wallet, are going to tell you, like, don't buy this. It came out weird, or it's got weird packaging. I know if I'm buying a Bryce Harper jersey and it comes in a weird packaging, my first thought is, where did this come from? Like, I thought I bought it on the MLB website, or maybe I bought it on like a less like a not
Fanatics.
So MLB. Yeah, Fanatics. The uniforms or something else. But I'm going to say, where did this come from? And how can I return it if it's weird enough? So just that all just kind of goes to show you need to be on Amazon. If you're a big brand that your products are already on Amazon, it's probably very advantageous for you to get on there, take over the brand, sharpen up your listings, and maybe make a few $1 million every year, an extra few $1 million on Amazon.
I think people probably, on average, buy something on Amazon every week. One or two things every single week. You buy something on that. And listen, Walmart's coming up too. I mean, we've had Walmart marketplaces at eTail. They've been coming the last 2 or 3 years. Ever since COVID, they started coming to the show. Hey, I'm one of the guys that joined Walmart during COVID. I never my life thought I'd be buying anything from Walmart.
Walmart online for sure. Like, online, why would you do that? And we can go to Amazon. But
yeah, and I got to tell you, it's great. I mean, it's easy, and you have the same deal.
They're coming up.
No free delivery as long as you remember for the year, and it's pretty cheap. And it's worth it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of posts from guys on LinkedIn that are just saying, like, hey, Amazon is Amazon. They're the giant. They are the one to beat. Walmart is a pretty close contender as of late. I saw, I think it was John Elder posted like a chart of Amazon's earnings and Walmart's earnings, and they're very close. They're not super far apart like maybe they were 5-10 years ago. Walmart is catching up. I know Amazon just did a lot of fee increases, and it's kind of hurting the smaller to mid-sized sellers. So I wouldn't be surprised if they saw a lot of people jump and ship this year to go sell on Walmart, or to go sell on Shopify.
I would love to know how the Whole Foods integration with Amazon has helped out. I would love to know. They don't have to show numbers really, but I mean, I would love to know how it's helped out the Amazon. I mean, I go to Whole Foods, and the easiest thing is returning stuff from Amazon or Whole Foods.
Yeah.
You just bring them a shirt in a regular bag. You don't need the box or anything. You just hand it to them with a barcode that they scan, But it is interesting how that's the way they thought they should go. To probably compete with Walmart because of Walmart's big money is grocery too. It's incredible.
Now I would assume they make their most money through that, because I know a lot of I go to Walmart for Zypha. There's not something up here. There's no Walmarts in Vermont, and if there are, they're 30, 40 miles away from me. Walmart or Vermont's not really big on chains or imports, so we have a lot of like locally owned grocery stores, which is pretty cool. But for the most part, there's no Walmart. But if I'm back home, like near the Philly area, Walmart is the same product that I'm going to get from a ShopRite or a Giant at 20 cents less. So why would you not?
You're absolutely correct.
Why would you not go to there?
They are bringing more and more brands. That was the difference, where there weren't a lot of brands on Walmart. A lot more brands, especially in the food industry, because listen, you become that brand loyalty kind of person, and Walmart is finally starting to bring some of the brands that everybody's accustomed to having and wanting to buy.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. I think in the next maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 years, Walmart will be a serious, and they already are a serious competitor with Amazon, but an even more serious competitor, where it's like Amazon's gonna have to say, okay, maybe we need to do a little change in here with the fees and improve something that Walmart doesn't have. I don't know, but it'll be very interesting to see kind of where they.
Well, it's interesting
where
the Walmart still has the free delivery. Of course, if you remember, Amazon did change that for the food, for Whole Foods. It used to be free delivery from Whole Foods, not anymore. Now they charge you for actually delivery. And
so maybe people make the switch.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Exhibit A right here. You made the switch, right? From now you shop on Walmart. There it is. So it'll be interesting to see again how everything shakes out in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
But we actually want to be partners with Walmart. We have a couple of our partners that sell on Walmart. We're always looking to try and get a representative to say, hey, like, can you come in and help us get new stores launched? So Walmart, if you are out there, it's a public reach out. Let's partner up.
Right, yeah.
But I will.
Detail.
my boss will tell me you only have to do one salesy thing an episode. So that's my one salesy thing. It's like, hey, Walmart, let's work to get our people on your website.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is an interesting world with the whole with just AI shaking out and all these other new features. I wanted to ask you. I don't want to reveal too many of the speakers' secrets, but what are some of the topics this year that you can share with us that are being spoken about at eTail?
Well, AI definitely is going to be big. I mean, one of our big speakers is Warby Parker, the chief retail officer. He's going to be doing a keynote with the Wall Street Journal. Let me actually, you know what? Let me just have open the agenda. Why not go right to
fact check? Yeah.
Yeah. Why make things up? Listen, we have our mainstays. One of the big topics that we created since COVID, it was actually developed because of COVID, was the customer journey workshop. We created what's called the future customer journey. And now, of course, there's a lot of future technology where we want lots of new technology to come to the show. One of the things we developed as well was this innovation theater, which I'm sure a lot of other people are going to do now as well. We actually decided, what do sponsors love to do? They love to come and basically talk about their product, right? And instead of hiding it behind topics, we just said, fine, we're going to create a theater in the exhibit room, and we're going to give you 10 minutes to literally talk about your product. And retailers are going to sit on couches and chairs during the exhibit breaks. They're going to walk around. We're going to have an area right in the middle, and we're going to kind of square it off with a big TV. And you get 10 minutes to literally talk about your product. And what the best part is, you had 40, 50 retailers standing around. I kind of said it was like a circus, step right up, like a carnival. And sure enough, they loved it because the retailers want to know all about the new technology. So we have search, email, of course. The future customer journey is becoming very big. We've got our mainstays, which of course, omni-channel, which put eTail on the map, omni-channel innovation, operations. Also very big is the customer and user experience. That is very, very big. The whole engagement between the customer online. Data analytics, such a big thing, especially with AI, data all day long. Performance marketing is going to be very big this year. And And of course, social. Listen, where
Yeah.
would we be? It's in the beginning we had social commerce, and it was just Facebook. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And the track that didn't do that well, because it was just basically about Facebook, and then of course Snapchat came, and then Instagram came, and now who's the biggest? TikTok. And the whole rumors with TikTok being shut down, it is not going to be shut down. Our country is they can't. It's too big to fail. This is too big to shut down. There's too much money in advertising. Yes, they need to clean it up. They need to clean it up. The politicians need to figure out what they need to figure out. But in terms of TikTok being a brand new social channel to advertise to kids, to buy products, and we're going to have TikTok at eTail. And I spoke to them yesterday, and it's kind of a brand new division, started in September. It is going to be shopping on TikTok. And I think it started last September 2023. It's getting
TikTok
bigger
shop.
and bigger.
Yeah.
Yep. And they want to get more and more retailers involved. They're going to be there in Boston in August at eTail, Boston, eTail East. And they want to talk all about shopping on TikTok, buying right through TikTok. So that's going to be huge. Brand building content is everything now. And again, it's all about the social media.
UGC, yeah. If you can get a person, an influencer with even, like 10,000 followers to say, hey, this product is super cool. You get 1,000 people buying your product from that probably.
And now we're getting agencies. We're getting agencies that represent influencers. My Brooklyn accent just came out. That represent these influencers, and they come to eTail now to sponsor the show. They're agencies, and they want to sell that solution to the retailers and say, look what my influencers can do for you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We work with one of those agencies to say, hey, we need UGC for this product, and do you have anyone that works in the pet space or the food space or just like the home furniture space? If there's a topic, there's an influencer for it. There's people that trust that person to give them the best reviews on whatever product they're reviewing that day. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's no other word for it. It is insane how much social media has really contributed to e-com.
Listen, marketplaces, it was a couple of years ago I spoke to your CEO. We did not even have a track on marketplaces. I think we had maybe a presentation or one panel. And I said to my producer, we have to have a track. And now we have a track navigating marketplaces and the social landscape. Marketplaces are becoming huge business. And it's all tied into the social media, social commerce, social landscape. It's all tied together.
I think I saw something, again, just on X, and which is apparently my biggest news source. TikTok Shop is doing like hundreds of millions already.
It's amazing.
Since just launching in November, which to me makes sense because there's a lot of people on TikTok. And I would imagine a lot of these influencers like we're talking about that live there that say, hey, here, click right here to buy this product and have it shipped to your house. Perfect.
Listen, it's where the kids are going.
That much,
it's where the kids are going. And you can't forget the kids. And that age group, 12 to 16 maybe, or even younger, they're on TikTok. And the amount of money that they control, thanks to their parents,
thanks to the credit cards,
exactly. It's all for them. And TikTok, listen, it's an incredible thing. If you could ever think about a competitor to Facebook or to Instagram, where Facebook wasn't buying them out, and it's really been amazing. Listen, they clean it up. It's fine. It's going to be here for a long time.
I'm curious to see. I don't think they will, just because it's their own separate space. But I'm curious to see because I'm a big Facebook marketplace user. I love finding. I love going to yard sales or sailing, as I describe it. And Facebook Marketplace is an online yard sale, which is
It's a flea market.
amazing.
It's an online flea market.
Yeah, which is no offense to Craigslist and no offense to eBay. It's just they've perfected it because everyone has a Facebook. So, but I'm curious to see. I don't know if you heard that you can now, without leaving the Facebook app, you can buy products on Amazon. So they announced this partnership a long time ago between Meta and Amazon. But it's just recently now you can actually on Facebook, you're scrolling through your feed, whatever, an ad will come up. You can actually purchase that product from Amazon, not from Facebook, from Amazon, right on Facebook. Say buy on Amazon, sign into your Amazon account, boom, shipped, done. So these places are kind of. I'm wondering if TikTok might do that, but I don't think so, just because they have their own separate storefront, So I don't know that they'll integrate like that. But to have these two tech giants, to have Zuck and Bezos do the handshake. Shout out to my social media manager, Cutter, for that line from our social media podcast episode. To have them handshake is crazy. It's crazy.
Everything you used to do offline is now online.
I love the fact of the computer in your phone is more complicated, more complex, more developed than the computer that took us to the moon. Just because it's just of what it can do and the processing power of it. I don't know how true that is, but I feel like I've seen that fact a couple times. But it makes sense. It makes sense to think about how far we've come in the last 20 years as compared to the last 40 or so before that, with all the processing data and just everything. It's crazy what the internet and it's crazy what someone with internet access can do these days. So.
And by the way, it's still a very small amount of people worldwide. That is.
Yeah. Percentage wise, I was like, oh, yes. Really? But I guess, it makes sense.
Yes. And that's why there's so much growth in online business and online retail and computers. It's still such a very small percentage of the overall world. Another topic is retail media, which is becoming more and more popular. That's going to get bigger and bigger, and we talk about that as well. So, we add new topics all the time to eTail. That's the beauty of eTail. We're just going to keep creating brand new topics as long as brand new technology comes around, and we talk about it, because that's what the retailers want. The retailers put this show together. We have a team of researchers that research with retailers for months and months and months. And I always say eTail is put together by the retailer for the retailer. That's what they want to talk about. That's what they told us. That's what's important to them.
As the future changes, so does eTail.
Yes, exactly.
Put that on a t-shirt.
What's the score of the bet game? What's going on with the Mets Phillies? I can't use my phone to find out.
What's the score of the Phillies game? I'll use my handy technology. The Phillies are up 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th.
Uh-oh, game's over.
So
we can't score 2 runs. No way.
I don't know. Listen, I was cheering. I will cheer for the Mets one time of the year, or a couple times of the year. Whenever you play the Braves.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
And when I think it was Nimmo hit that
it was
walk
a home run
off
to win the game. Yes.
I was jumping up and down. I was like, I was crazy. When the Braves almost had that no-hitter, and I don't think it was Nimmo. It was someone else with an N name.
Nito.
Nito, the catcher. He hit that home run, two out home run, bottom of the ninth to cancel out the no-hitter. I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is great baseball.
Yeah.
So I make fun of the Mets. I will rag on them. The Mets are not a pushover team. They can be pretty scary.
I'm shocked. You know what team is shocking me? Why are the Nationals 500? How is that possible?
Wait, that's crazy to me. Who do they have on their team? That's
I don't know anybody
good enough for 500.
I was shocked to see they're literally 500. I go, the Mets can't even be better than the Nationals.
I will give the Nationals one thing. It is that their City Connect jerseys with the cherry blossoms and the gray is gorgeous. Gorgeous jerseys. Big fan of those. There are a lot of crazy things are happening this year. For the craziest thing is that the Phillies are the best team.
For me, the Knicks, your basketball team's out, and the Knicks We have to win tonight. We're 2-2, and we're back at the Garden, and we cannot go to Indiana down 3-2. It's impossible. You just can't.
The basketball is very interesting this year. The Pacers are really good. I'm kind of cheering for the Mavs because I like Luka. I don't want to see Jokic.
Last night they had a horrible game.
Yeah.
But Kyrie Irving had a horrible game. He disappeared.
They're up and down. He's up and down. It's interesting to watch. And I will say, shout out to my friend Matt. I am actually cheering for the Rangers to win it all.
They lost last night. I had a friend that went to the game and they lost.
I saw this morning they were there, but they're still up 3-2 in the series.
Yeah.
So
yep.
But I am cheering for the Rangers this year just because, again, he's a big Rangers fan, and I'm not a big hockey guy, so I'll text him and be like, yeah, if they win. If they lose, I won't text them, but if they win, I'll be like, oh, let's go Rangers.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the power of the internet, connecting people, bringing that together to tie it all back in, creating this community of bloodthirsty sports fans or retailers that want to sell more. It's the same. What do you call it? It's two sides of the same coin there.
I just had a guy on the phone. You know, I kind of joke around with people on the phone. Guy says to me, so what should we come to eTail? What's eTail about? And I literally said, if you can show the retailers how to sell more shit online, they will talk to you. And he got really silent. And I said, I'm just joking. You know, but I wasn't joking, you know?
Yeah. Comedy is, and that's a whole other episode as well, that comedy's taking a little bit of a downturn, but people need to be joking about stuff. People need to be more.
And by the way, that was the speech that Jerry Seinfeld just gave to Duke University.
Yeah.
He said,
I watched it. It was great.
You must have humor in your life.
Yep.
And
life is very boring without laughing.
I absolutely agree. You know, I mean, I speak to so many different types of companies and from all over the world. India, Israel, Turkey, you know, United States, of course, Canada, I mean, Singapore, you know, all over Europe, I talk to companies, all about eTail, you know. And like I said, the common denominator, it's just one common denominator. It's one. It's like you've got to be able, your solution has to help the retailer sell more goods or show them how they can save money by using your product, which of course hence means selling more goods, making more money. They want to make more money.
Be more profitable.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's, you know, don't make, you know, like a guy wanting to talk to engineers and he told me what the product does. And I go, I don't have engineers at eTail. I go, but if you can't convince the director of eCommerce or the person who's responsible for the whole online presence that this product is going to be good for them, you don't need to talk to an engineer. After you convince this person who comes to eTail, if they say yes, then you can talk to their engineer. Because it has to pass the smell test, as I always say. You have to get through the director of eCommerce, the person who's responsible for the websites, for the whole online experience, all of the online sales. That's who comes to eTail. Those are the decision makers that we get. And those are the people you have to talk to. You have to get through them first.
Yeah. Most of the time when I meet with people and I say, who's your decision maker? I'm asking basically, can I speak to your director of e-com?
Yes.
You know, that's who I want to talk to. That's the one in charge. It's the one directing e-com. It's just to put it as simple as possible.
And people are like, I need C-level people at the show. I'm like, well, then don't come. I mean, yeah, we'll get a sprinkling. But those aren't the people you want to talk to.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. So, well, I am also potentially going to be going to eTail this summer as well. So if you want to meet Velocity Pete, he might be there. I know we're definitely sending Stephanie there as well. She'll be there to talk.
I'll give you a discount on the pass. How's that? Can't give you another free pass, but I'll give you a discount.
That's fine. I was going to pay full price, so I'll take it. But yeah, we might be up there. So I'm super excited to just be a part of the community, really, is the only way to put it.
You could talk to Lita about maybe doing a podcast as well. So yeah, she'll
a live episode. Up. Yeah, we can do a live episode.
You can see Mr. eTail in action.
In live from eTail. We've got Mr. eTail. That's the headline. Yeah.
I leave my clients alone on site. They need to do business. They don't need to talk to me. They need to talk to the retailer.
Yeah. So No, good stuff. Like I said, this was,
Yep.
I knew this was going to be a good episode. I knew the moment we met, this was going to be a good episode. So Chad, I want to thank you so much for coming on, and talking to me about eTail and all the other topics that we covered. We covered a wide variety today, which is great. We got to go into a lot of different things. Any final thoughts for our viewers out there? Maybe any retailers that aren't going to eTail, or just for trade shows in general?
I would say, just for eTail, if you are a retailer and you are looking to definitely improve your business, sell more goods online, eTail has been around. This is our 25th year in business. That says a lot. A lot of shows have come and gone in the e-commerce space. We are the longest running show strictly for e-commerce. We do not compete with the NRF, who's been around for 150 years, but in terms of e-commerce, we are the longest running show, and we are getting bigger and bigger, and we're getting better. So if you're a retailer, you got to come to learn from your peers, see what the other retailers are doing. And if you're a technology provider, a sponsor, solution provider, there's no better place to make connections and to sell your goods. As long as you can show them how to sell more goods, they will talk to you. But it's been a great ride, and it's going to keep going.
Amen.
And we're going to create a Mr. eTail AI, so I don't really have to even be here anymore.
You be the hologram in the Gap. You could be the hologram in the Gap.
Well, hey, nice to see you, Mr. Jones. How do you like that cashmere sweater you wore 2 weeks ago?
That'll be you. It'll be as your face showing up like, hey, have you come to eTail? Did you enjoy eTail last time? You could pop that in like an email.
That was so funny.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Well, Chet, again, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you. For any retailers out there that want to go to eTail, there will be a 20% discount?
Let me just get that up. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
We are going to have a discount. Right. This is for retailers only. It's going to be 20% off, I believe. The code is eTail Partner. All one word, eTail Partner, for a discount for any retailers looking to attend. You'll plug that in online and you'll get your discount.
So now, retailers, you have no reason not to go.
And please link in with me. You will see my LinkedIn. I am wearing the Brooks Brothers pajamas, holding a bottle of Cape Red Sauvignon Blanc. That is from a eTail West Palm Springs 2000-something, where we broke another record because we just keep getting bigger. And I feel like that is my greatest moment. And that's my LinkedIn profile picture. You can't miss me. It's also, you'll see it says Mr. eTail.
Say that is Mr. eTail in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Brooks Brothers, baby. And I mean, they're going out of business.
I got some pants thrifted from them not too long ago. So
they closed down the store on Madison, on 44th and Madison, and it was the flagship store. Oh my God, it's empty. I grew up going there. Literally grew up going there.
I'm more of a Vineyard Vines guy. I love finding anything Vineyard Vines thrifted.
Vineyard Vines in Charleston, right here.
Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, I might have to.
That's it. Yeah.
We'll also include some links to Chet's LinkedIn and the eTail site in the description down below. I think it's the first time, despite being on YouTube for a while, it's the first time I said, hey, click the link in the description below.
That's funny.
So this is a paramount episode here. But yes, there will be some links in the description below to click and learn more about eTail, learn more about Chet, connect with them on LinkedIn, and kind of talk about maybe if you're a good fit or not. So again, can't say it enough. Mr. eTail, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you coming out to talk to us.
We'll see everybody in August in Boston.
Yes, sir, we will.
Yep.
And for everyone watching, thank you so much. I'm Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.